Sometimes a royal story comes along that is so astonishing, it just takes your breath away. Today is one of those days because the late Queen's cousin is revealing the truth about what Elizabeth II really thought of Meghan Markle from beyond the grave. It's astonishing stuff. And look, what we learn from these astonishing revelations is that everything that I have reported for the past 7 years is completely true. All of those people close to Harry and Meghan who tried to say that I was wrong when I said the late Queen, who was furious on the day of the wedding, said that she hadn't dressed down Harry, that no, she was supportive of Meghan. They were all wrong. And I'm going to take you through this in the most extraordinary detail, and it matters because of the history books. Because it matters given that Meghan has absolutely tried to portray a false impression of the royal family. So this has emerged in the Substack, and I want to give it huge credit, the Substack of Sally Bedell-Smith. She is the very famous royal biographer, highly respected woman. And can I just say, I love the fact that we're learning all of this incredible information via a Substack. This is the new media. This is the independent media revolution. I have been telling you for the past 18 months that you cannot trust the Royal Rota, that you will only get the truth from independent sources of royal journalism like Sally Bedell-Smith and like my own Substack, www.outspoken.live, where you will get access to our coverage every single weekday. So let me take you through this story. And it all relates to the late Queen's cousin, Elizabeth Anson. Now, these two were closer than almost anyone could be to the late Queen. Elizabeth would actually refer to the Queen as Jemima. And they were so close that the late Queen would actually love attending dinner parties at her house. This was a trusted friendship that dated back decades. They were relatives, and actually they had become almost best friends to the point where the late Queen was prepared to share in intimate detail what she really thought of everything, including members of the royal family. So that's the context in which Sally Bedell-Smith makes these incredible revelations, because she had a close relationship with Lady Elizabeth Anson. Let's just be clear about this. Lady Elizabeth Anson, the late Queen's cousin, was her deep throat, was the type of source that most royal reporters can only dream of having, because this woman was literally reporting information to her directly told to her by the late Queen Elizabeth II. And all of this context is so important because it explains why what I'm about to take you through and what Sally Bedell-Smith has published in her brilliant Royal Extra Substack should be treated as historical fact. The late Queen couldn't stand Meghan Markle, and it was nothing to do with her race. It was to do with her disrespectful treatment to both her and the monarchy from day one. And the look on the Queen's face that wedding day, well, it told you everything you needed to know about how she really felt about this woman. Okay, here's the headline. An insider's view of the royal family. With parties at Dudley House, quiet dinners with close friends, and celebrations for her 80th and 90th birthdays, everything was going happily for the Queen until Harry met Meghan. Meghan could turn nothing into trouble. Harry wrote to me and said they were going another way. We're called Lisa. Now, Lisa is the name that Sally Bedell-Smith uses for Lady Elizabeth Anson. He said, I am close to my grandmother and she is content with this. When I spoke with the Queen, she said she is not content at all. Lisa was not upset, but she added, Meghan could turn into nothing but trouble. She sees things in a different way. According to Lisa, the Queen was dismayed that Harry had asked the Archbishop of Canterbury to perform the wedding service in St. George's Chapel without first requesting permission from the Dean of Windsor. Harry seems to think the Queen can do what she wants, but she can't, said Lisa. On the religious side, it is the Dean of Windsor's jurisdiction. As a result, Lisa said that Harry had blown his relationship with his grandmother. She said she was really upset. I was shocked when the Queen told me this, how she was so saddened. I had no idea about the conversation. That he was rude to her for 10 minutes. They had tea with her the day before yesterday. She was trying to find out about the wedding dress and Meghan wouldn't tell her. So let's just think about that for 1 minute. Prince Harry treating the greatest living monarch at the time, and I would argue actually the greatest British monarch of all time, with so much disrespect that he berated her on the phone for 10 minutes. Now, of course, I first reported that phone call.
According to a report circulating in royal commentary circles, Queen Elizabeth II privately expressed doubts about Meghan's intentions long before the wedding, the Oprah interview, and the royal exit. The insider claims that the Queen felt Meghan was not motivated by love, but by strategy. She allegedly used the word engineered, suggesting the relationship was constructed for personal advancement. And that's a serious accusation, not just against Meghan, but against the authenticity of the Sussex marriage itself. If this is true, it would mean the Queen believed her grandson was emotionally manipulated. Let's go back. Harry and Meghan's relationship moved quickly. They were introduced in 2016. By the following year, they were engaged. And by spring 2018, they were married in Windsor Castle.
Brave show exactly how the late Queen felt about Meghan Markle. This feels like history.
Yes, I liked her very much. I knew her quite well, actually. And she did a couple of parties that she invited me to, which were wonderful. The Queen wasn't there, but she did them because she made lots of parties and meals for people. And she was
a
just
great woman.
very honourable, nice, funny woman. But you think that what she held all those years, I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary, isn't it? But she was very loyal. And in a way, I feel that it's a relief that it's come out because people like you and me, we've known that Meghan is just awful, that she looks for trouble. We know how she controls Harry. And yet, we're sort of told off, as it were, by an awful lot of people, or they don't want to listen to us or what we write. I get that anyway sometimes. On the other hand, I get people who say, well done, so I'm sure you do as well. Let's not deny that. But it's the wording that is so fascinating. It's, every sentence, every word is absolutely enormous and wipes you out, actually.
Yes.
Absentees is absolutely terrible, that, nothing to do with the royal family and nothing to do with the Queen. And she loved Harry for many years. He was the second born and he was funny and enjoyable and she really loved him. But when Meghan came, he wasn't allowed to, I imagine, and he didn't want to because everything had to be what Meghan wanted, and everything still has to be what Meghan wants. And it's actually, I'm quite pleased that it's now out, and I hope that other newspapers and people will say something about it because it is disgusting, isn't it? It's how you could deal like that the most wonderful monarchy that we've ever known. And I don't mean that in age, but the person who's so giving to the people. It's just it's really shocking that she could have to go that when her husband was ill and when she was ill. There was no stopping. On and on and on Meghan goes. And the lies that she told with Oprah Winfrey is just breathtaking. And the thing that she said, well, she made this ridiculous comment that she didn't know how to curtsy before she went in. She made a big fuss about that. We saw a very disgusting one that she did for Netflix, but she said it's ridiculous. Who on earth should ever do that, curtsy? It's absolutely ridiculous. And all these things were little things. It doesn't mean much. It's just the right way to behave, so you do it. And she didn't want even to give anything. And the fact about her dress, which was a really plain, nothing, not very interesting dress, that's the sort of mockery she was doing. But that was later. And I believe that she did what you said. She thought she would leak it to the newspapers because she's so obsessed with being famous that she wants anything that she wants with the newspapers, and she wants people to stop anything that she doesn't want. And she says she doesn't. She's always kind. She's very looking after people. She loves them very much. But here's something later that actually highlights that sort of ghastly behaviour again. But this is what she wanted, that the Queen didn't want. The Queen would want to do that with the BBC and the ITV, and everybody would know what her dress was like before she came down. I mean, how can anybody with any sense and good behaviour think that that's the right way to behave to a queen? But it just shows you she's awful to everyone, isn't she? She attacks the king now, she attacks all the people, the royal family, her brother, her sister-in-law, anyone she wipes out. And of course, she's wiped out Harry for most of the time. So this is something that is just a relief it's out, but it's very, very sad that when you look at her face now at the wedding, or you look at her with Meghan, where she's trying to get things a bit better, how terribly sad she is. Now, have you ever seen a mother-in-law look like that on a very, very adored son? When he gets married? Absolutely not. But she knows there's nothing she can do about her because she's the one in charge, and she is. She has been and she is.
But first, did you know that low libido is often a sign your body is out of balance, and poor sleep and chronic stress are two of the biggest culprits? When you're underslept, your levels of testosterone, estrogen, and dopamine all drop, crushing your mood, energy, and yes, even your sex drive.
In front of the world. While many saw a romantic whirlwind, insiders say the speed of it all raised red flags, especially for a monarch who spent her entire life prioritizing duty over emotion. Reports suggest the Queen was uncomfortable with how public the relationship became so fast. From media headlines to interviews to coordinated public appearances, it all looked, to her, too well packaged. One source close to the palace claims the Queen once said Meghan was performing the part of a royal fiancé, not living it. Let's remember, Queen Elizabeth came from a generation that valued restraint, quiet dignity, and unquestioned loyalty to the institution. So when someone like Meghan, a divorced American actress with media savvy and a global brand, entered the picture, it was bound to create tension. But what's surprising is how blunt the Queen may have been in private. If she did in fact describe Meghan's actions as engineered, that suggests she saw the marriage as transactional, not emotional. That could explain the lack of warmth between Meghan and the firm early on.
Add elevated cortisol to the mix, the stress hormone that spikes when you're burned out, and your body goes into survival mode. It shuts down everything non-essential, including desire. Your body isn't broken, it's just exhausted. That's why I use Evening Being by Verso. It's made with clinically studied ingredients shown to reduce stress and anxiety, lower cortisol, and calm the nervous system. It also supports your body's natural ability to regulate hormones, improve mood, and even boost libido. Because when you sleep better, your whole body functions better, including the systems that support connection and intimacy. After taking Evening Bean, I see myself that being able to fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer all night is very possible. If I wake up in the middle of the night now, I can fall back asleep really quickly. So click the link in the show description or head on over to evening.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. Try Evening Bean tonight and wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow. That's evening.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15%. But now, back to the show. Harry was completely tone deaf, wasn't he? Because even in Spare, he recalls the moment when he had to ask the late Queen's permission to marry Meghan. He's not happy about it at all. He hates that tradition. And let's just say Elizabeth II was lukewarm at best. I think what's also really important to point out here, Angela, is just how deep the relationship between Lady Elizabeth Ansem and the late Queen was. So she died in November 2020, right? So the late Queen already knew at that point, because remember, they weren't able to see each other in person because of the COVID lockdown. So she already knew by the end of 2019, before Megxit, right, exactly what a piece of work Meghan Markle was. And for anyone saying, oh, what, because this is what the Sussex squad will say. What did Lady Elizabeth Ansem knew? She was just a party planner. What did she know? Let me tell you, she was arguably the closest, certainly in the top 5 closest people on earth to the late Queen. And just a little bit of colour to back that up, Angela. They spoke on the phone multiple times a week. So even if they weren't in person with each other, which they usually were, by the way, because the late Queen wanted to be with her, but they spoke on the phone multiple times a week. And friends of the pair said that they were so close, Angela, that their bond went so deep that they actually finished each other's sentences.
Well, it's the way they were both brought up. She was brought up as a royal just as much as the Queen was, and she understood the Queen. And so that there was someone she could really, really trust because she knows about her, how she lives and what she's like. She's known her since she was a child. And so that way she could feel safe. And actually, for a queen, it's very, very difficult to find someone you can trust. But she obviously trusted her. And that is absolutely extraordinary and wonderful that she had someone who she could really trust. Because apart from her husband, and he wouldn't be interested in girly talk, really. He adored her to bits, but he wouldn't be there listening to what you might call woman to woman conversation about, can I really believe this? I don't really think I can, but it is too terrible for words. What does it happen? But I can't stop it. I just can't stop it. And I think that must have eaten her up and made her feel very ill on and off, because she usually could work around something. She could talk to the person and be either a bit cross or actually kind and say, please don't behave like that. We don't do that. I hope you don't mind, but this is the way that I like it. And I'm the Queen. I know, but she could trust her with everything. She didn't have to explain. And it's at least a bit of a relief that she's got someone who is trustworthy.
Indeed. And you can imagine, Angela, the late Queen and Lady Elizabeth Ansem talking, and the way that they summed up Harry and that relationship with Harry and Meghan is just completely spot on. Again, because this is such a significant seismic quote, I just want to read it out once more, Angela.
Yes, the last one.
Yeah, Harry is besotted and weak about women. We hope, but don't quite think she is in love. And then the kicker, Angela, we think she engineered it all. Now remember, for years, Angela, the Sussex squad have tried to say that people like us who have said that are either racist or anti-Meghan or conspiracists or any of that. This is coming from the late Queen Elizabeth II herself.
Yes. The other one that was good is that Harry was neither bright nor strong.
Mm,
She is both.
mm.
So they could read that and have that perfect sentence, isn't it, as well? And what do? You're saying a whole lot. Um, but what is appalling is that, even if you don't like the family and you don't like things, you don't try and attack them. You don't try and make them look bad. You don't accuse them like she's done for being racist, which she says now that she never did. And it just makes you really, really feel hopeful that they cannot come back to the UK. All these, trying to be lovely and nice, and they want to come back and they want to help and they want to be a bit more for their children. They want to see their family. No, absolutely no. And I hope that this actually will stop it because of in respect to the Queen. They should just stop it, not allow it. And I think the King will actually also feel shocked to his toes, really, because she might not have told him because she knew he was next, and maybe she just didn't want to. He had enough on his plate, sort of thing, and that's it. They must not come back. So all these court cases and all this nonsense, I don't know why they want it, why Harry wants it. It's just, we don't want him. Thank you very much.
It could also explain why certain members of the royal family, including the Queen herself, seemed cautious about fully embracing Meghan from the beginning. Now, let's be fair. Meghan has strongly denied claims that she calculated her way into royalty. In her 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan said she didn't even understand what she was getting into. "I didn't Google Harry. I didn't grow up following the royal family. I just fell in love with this man." She described her entry into the monarchy as naive, even blind. But critics have pushed back, pointing out that Meghan was media-trained, highly educated, and had previously spoken about Princess Diana. So was she really unaware? Or was she crafting an image? That's where the public remains deeply divided. Let's not forget Prince Harry. Throughout it all, Harry has fiercely defended Meghan, against the press, against the royal household, and even against his own family. To him, this wasn't manipulation, it was love, and he walked away from the monarchy to protect it.
You stay with Meghan and you look after her and she looks after you, haha, and just get on with it. I
The
think it's very
other,
important that they don't come back now. And you can see
yes.
that with William and Catherine, they will be absolutely delighted that this has come out because it says they didn't get on well with them, especially the two girls. Quite right. Catherine could see right through her from the start.
Well, indeed. And Angela, again, and this really isn't about doing any type of I told you so. That isn't what this is about. Why I think this is so important is that you trust and that our audience trust that what we have been saying for all of these years, dating back in my case to 2018, is accurate. It was anchored in totally correct sourcing that we could not reveal because, of course, we do not reveal our sources. And I mean, I was writing, Angela, I just looked at this in November 2018. The Duchess of Sussex and the Duchess of Cambridge don't particularly like each other. There, I said it. This week, many royal correspondents and commentators, the vast majority in the pocket of the PR teams for the royal households, tap danced and tiptoed around the thorny issue. And of course, in my case, absolutely not. I was prepared to tell it as it is. And this all broke, Angela, on the 9th of November 2018, when I reported that the Queen, and this was in the Sun newspaper, but remember, I wasn't part of the royal rota, and at the time, royal correspondents just refused to follow the story up. They're very snobby, they work as a pact. And I reported the Queen warned Prince Harry over Meghan Markle's behaviour and attitude before their wedding following a row over the bride's tiara. The extraordinary intervention from the monarch came after tense negotiations over what Meghan could wear. And the reality is, Angela, it was a hell of a lot worse than that. But it's just fascinating to me that very often the official royal reporters, do you know what I mean? The stenographers and the people who follow them around don't really know what they're talking about. They do swallow PR spin, which just isn't accurate.
Yes, I got two things actually. One was, I mean, I was one of the people to take through the wedding. So I was up at 4 a.m. until 10 o'clock at night. And I had a wonderful time. I thought it was wonderful. But I just sort of kept looking at the way Meghan was pulling his hand and pushing his hand. And I thought that was very strange. But other than that, it was just lovely. But roll on, a few weeks later, I went to Nottingham, which was Meghan's first visit with Harry. And she was very good, freezing cold, raining. She was very good, and people along the line. But when we were all going inside, and these were the leaders of different charities, she pushed him out the way. This is the first thing. She pushed him out the way, went forward, shook hands, and started talking to him. Harry very politely stood at the back, as he's always done. It makes me shiver. And I thought, oh no, this is absolutely terrible. She's a nightmare. She's going to be an absolute nightmare, because nobody who was a real genuine person would actually push forward, push our new husband out of the way when he's still a prince and you're Miss Nothing. Hang on there, girl. And so that from that time, I realized that she was a nightmare.
You knew. And you knew Angela just from seeing her in action,
Yeah.
seeing the way that she behaved.
And that's why I've disliked her all the way through, because I know that she's a very nasty person and she's very nasty with him. And all the things when she tries to be absolutely wonderful is only if they actually help her. She's just very cruel.
Well, see, for
That's
me,
what I think.
she is very, very cruel. So can I just say thank you, Lady Elizabeth Ansem. Thank you, Sally Beadle-Smith. Thank you, Substack. Thank you for the independent media and the fact that we're finally getting the truth, not from the mainstream media, which you cannot trust. Absolutely fascinating stuff and comments that I think will really shock a lot of you, but also confirm a lot of what we've been talking about. And of course, if you do want the royal exclusives that the Royal Rota will not report every single weekday, then please do sign up to my Substack, www.outspoken.live. You will get first access, either live or on demand, to the Royal Uncancelled After Show every single weekday. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.
But if the Queen really believed Meghan didn't love him, then that would mean she also believed Harry had been swept away by emotion, ignoring warning signs she clearly saw. That could be the foundation of the long-standing divide we're seeing now. The internet, of course, is split. Some believe the Queen was right, and that Meghan brought chaos to the crown. Others believe this narrative is outdated, biased, and rooted in racism and misogyny. But what this new claim reveals, if it holds weight, is just how deep the mistrust went behind palace doors. Because when the Queen speaks, even privately, her words carry legacy. And if she truly believed the marriage wasn't about love, then maybe the family split, the royal exit, and even Harry's explosive memoir make a lot more sense.